Tonight, Israel's military readiness at stake after it clashes with Israeli PM over controversial judicial reforms, and the rise of India's scripted videos fanning anti-Muslim hatred. We cover stories about the effects of Toronto police carding, a bidding war on Alberta's Donair costume, and how world nations use time for political gains. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Catherine Bullock. As Israel continues to grapple with the aftermath of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's judicial changes, disputes are breaking out between his government and the military. Tensions have persisted for months, with reports indicating that senior figures in Israel's military and security circles believe Netanyahu is shifting blame for recent army reservist strikes onto military leaders. Far-right lawmakers have criticized top military officials for allowing reservists to refuse duty. Netanyahu has demanded military readiness. Netanyahu's son Yair posted and swiftly deleted a Facebook message this week, labeling Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi as, quote, the most failed and destructive Chief of Staff in the history of the Israeli army. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant defended Halevi, while rival Yair Lapid accused Netanyahu of evading responsibility. During a military readiness briefing over the weekend, the Chief of Staff reportedly asked Netanyahu to condemn parliamentarians' attacks on the army. Netanyahu instead reprimanded military leaders for going public over the consequences of reservists' refusal to work. He emphasized that in a democracy, the government commands the military. The administration, described as the most far-right wing in Israel's history, has pushed for judicial changes enhancing executive powers, recently passed by the Knesset. The Supreme Court will hear arguments about the legislation on November 12. Supporters argue it counteracts left-wing bias in the judiciary, while opponents claim it weakens checks and balances. Israeli army intelligence reportedly warned Netanyahu multiple times before the legislation's passage that rivals could exploit domestic turmoil. Thousands of reservists, including pilots, have pledged to refuse duty if the changes aren't reversed, sparking concerns about military readiness. Amid this turmoil, Israel continues to conduct attacks in the occupied West Bank. In India, scripted videos portraying staged scenarios as real events are gaining traction on social media, contributing to misinformation and religious animosity. These videos often present staged altercations involving characters in burqas carrying children, falsely suggesting child kidnappings. Since the rise of the Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party in 2014, violence against Muslims and other minorities has grown. These fake videos are fanning the flames of anti-Muslim hatred. They also promote the surveillance and control of women's behavior. They are shared on social media as factual occurrences. Local media sometimes mistake them for real news. Although some of these videos feature disclaimers, these are often concealed within the videos. These videos are available in many of India's languages, such as Hindi, Tamil, and Gujarati. Though staged videos aren't the primary source of misinformation in India, they are significantly influencing existing biases. While some platforms have strict policies against violent and misleading conduct, the impact of these videos is to worsen a polarizing society. A new report shows global household wealth, measured in current nominal US dollars, has fallen last year for the first time since the 2008 financial crisis. The study is published in the Global Wealth Report. The report shows the total private net wealth was down last year by 2.4% as compared with the previous year. It shows that the net private wealth fell by $11.3 trillion to $454 trillion. Wealth per adult saw a decline of 3.6%. The study shows much of the decline can be attributed to the appreciation of the US dollar against numerous other currencies. Financial assets contributed most to the decline in wealth in the past year. On the other hand, non-financial assets, mainly real estate, remained stable despite rapidly rising interest rates. The study highlights the loss of global wealth is heavily concentrated in wealthier regions such as North America and Europe. In contrast, an opposite trend is evident in Latin America. There, the study recorded a total increase in wealth of $2.4 trillion. This, according to the report, was boosted by an average currency appreciation of 6% against the US dollar. The highest wealth gains were achieved by Russia, Mexico, India, and Brazil. In terms of wealth per adult, Switzerland leads the way, followed by the US, Hong Kong, Australia, and Denmark. The authors of the study say that global wealth will increase by 38% over the next 5 years. They say growth in middle-income countries is expected to be the main driver of global trends. The Black Legal Action Centre and law firm McCarthy Tétrault have launched a class action against the Toronto Police Service for its carding practice. They claim the practice unfairly targets Black and Indigenous people. The action includes the Toronto Police Services Board and former and current chiefs of police as defendants. The affected group consists of Black, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis individuals who have experienced carding by the Toronto Police since 2011. Carding involves stopping individuals without suspicion of crime, collecting personal data, and retaining it for law enforcement purposes. The Toronto Police have disproportionately carded Black and Indigenous communities, maintaining permanent records used for policing and shared with other agencies. The filed statement of claim alleges the historic and ongoing carding practice breaches the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Ontario Human Rights Code. The claim seeks injunctions to reform police practices and compensation for the affected class. Ayan Farah, a Somali Canadian, represents the proposed plaintiff. Farah has been carded. This led to her security clearance being revoked and then being suspended from her job. Farah's case highlights carding's impact on innocent lives and why there are calls for safer communities. The case coincides with the release of the Ontario Human Rights Commission's report on anti-Black racism in policing. A new Community Safety and Policing Act is also soon to be implemented. Farah calls for discussions on rebuilding trust with marginalized communities historically targeted by discrimination at the hands of law enforcement. For more on the ill treatment of UK asylum seekers, stay tuned. The Ottawa Islamic Centre and Asylum Mosque, which had its charitable status revoked in 2018 by the Canadian Revenue Agency, has been reinstated as a charity. Abdul Hakim Moalam Ishaq, the mosque's president, says the restoration followed a lengthy appeals process. Moalam Ishaq says the mosque promptly appealed the CRA decision, leading to extensive communication between the agency and the mosque's legal representative. He says the process was emotionally and financially draining, but he calls it worthwhile. The CRA withdrew the mosque's charitable status due to concerns that it had diverted resources away from charitable activities and was promoting hate and intolerance. The decision was partly influenced by the appearance of controversial speakers at the mosque between 2009 and 2014. The mosque contested the decision. It said it is committed to Canadian values and condemns hate and bias. The CRA has not announced the reasons for reversing its decision, citing confidentiality. A CRA spokesperson says the agency's dedication to diversity, inclusion, and anti-racism is part of its core values. Moalam Ishaq views the years without charitable status and the appeals process as a challenging experience. The mosque relies on its charitable status for fundraising. The inability to provide charitable receipts to the congregation was difficult. An unusual outfit linked to a popular Canadian street food has been secured by an Alberta Donair chain. The outfit is a nearly 1.5 meters tall Donair costume listed on an Alberta government auction site. The listing triggered competition among Canadian Donair restaurants, leading to a bidding contest. The Donair is inspired by Greek and Turkish cuisines and features spiced ground beef in a grilled Lebanese pita. It is topped with a unique sauce composed of evaporated or condensed milk, vinegar, sugar, and accents of garlic, tomato, or onion. The Donair holds significance as a late-night snack and is an official symbol of Halifax's cuisine. It has gained traction in Alberta due to Atlantic Canadian immigrants working in the oil sector. YouTuber Steve Wallace, an avid Donair enthusiast, intended to utilize the outfit for charity. However, he was outbid by Alberta's Primetime Donair and Poutine, a restaurant chain. Primetime Donair has since expressed interest in partnering with Wallace for a charity event featuring the outfit. Originally acquired for an anti-drug awareness campaign in 2015, the unique costume remained unused. Its uniqueness captured attention, although it included an unexpected element: lettuce. This addition is controversial in Halifax, as lettuce is not part of traditional Donair ingredients. Primetime Donair says it intends to keep the lettuce on the suit. An asylum seeker in the United Kingdom says the UK government is endangering migrants and treats them like, quote, less than animals. The asylum seeker was among those removed from the Bibi Stockholm barge after an outbreak of bacterial infection. The Bibi Stockholm barge is a floating vessel designed to accommodate asylum seekers until their legal status in the UK is confirmed. All asylum seekers were moved this past Friday off the barge moored at Dorset Port after Legionella bacteria were found in the onboard water system. The report of bacteria came 3 days after the UK Home Office said the health and safety checks were completed. Media reports one of the migrants, who was among those removed from the barge, says he is worried about falling ill after consuming the water on board. The first group of asylum seekers was housed on the 3-story barge on August 7th, while some others refused to move on the barge. Describing the barge, the man, who arrived in the UK in December, noted that it is like being in a prison because the security is too much. He says he is unable to sleep aboard the vessel. The Bibi Stockholm is one of the vessels that was announced by the government to accommodate 5,000 asylum seekers in a bid to lower the cost of hotels. The controversial plan aims to house up to 500 men on the floating barge who are waiting for the results of their asylum applications. They are currently staying in hotels. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak listed tackling small boat crossings as one of his 5 priorities after over 45,000 migrants arrived in the country by crossing the English Channel last year. China's national time policy, anchored to Beijing time, has led to clocks that don't match geographical locations in regions like East Turkestan. The Chinese Communist Party uses time to enforce its goals of unity. So the time of sunset in East Turkestan is about 3 hours ahead of its geographical time. Human rights advocates say this practice is China's strategy of erasing the Uyghur identity through measures like surveillance and mass detentions. Other minority groups face similar central control. China is not alone in using time politically. Russia recently shifted those regions in Ukraine that it had annexed from Ukrainian to Moscow time. Greenland also recently moved 1 hour closer to Europe. The global time zone map established by colonial powers in the 19th century reflects political considerations. Today, time zones remain social constructs that change with geopolitical shifts. A Uyghur whose identity is not disclosed sees this manipulation of time as an infringement on human rights, especially for Uyghurs who can't determine their own time. She says China's time policy symbolizes control and challenges minority identity. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Sound Vision, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad